Hello there everybody, Below10,000 here, bringing you a Super Smash Bros. Ultimate discussion video. Today, we are going to be taking a look at one of the most irritating bait articles I have seen on the game in a long time, and of course it comes from the bastards at Polygon. And quite frankly, I'm not going to mince my words because they did not do any research into this article, so quite frankly they don't deserve my respect. So Polygon posted an article saying that they rank the Smash Brothers and Friends, every character ordered from garbage to glorious, and this was created by Jeremy Parish at GameSpite. And just Jeremy, we know you didn't put any effort into this list because, as we're going to get into, it's a complete mess, but you know, it's just good to know that, you know, you're putting yourself out there so people can absolutely destroy you. So, the reason why I'm covering this is because I read it yesterday and it just angered me with how wrong it was. Not even like in terms of opinion, in terms of literally just having wrong information. It was shocking. And to think that this was posted on a full-on website, it's clear it's a bait article, but that doesn't mean I don't want to rip it to shreds. So that's what we're doing today. So let's just have a little read. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate may not be the actual Ultimate, as in final, game in the series. I don't know when Ultimate meant final, I don't get that. But it is certainly the biggest to date. Its character count alone has swelled past 6 dozen, which is, well, it's a lot of characters, enough that newcomers and even seasoned pros are likely to find themselves freezing up at the character select screen trying to decide which of these tiny little portrait selections best represents their personal ethos. Well, good news, I've ranked the entire Smash Ultimate cast for you. This is not a ranking of the best fighters in Smash because, well, honestly, Smash isn't really the kind of game where most people play as serious competition. Smash is a good times party fighter where you have fun and show off your great taste. That makes this list far more useful as it grades characters according to their value based on their gaming legacy. Making your fighter selection based on our pecking order is the way to be the coolest Smash kid at your party. Honest. Okay, so Smash isn't a competitive game according to Polygon. That is just factually incorrect. Yes, there is a casual audience for Smash, and I am a casual player, but I respect that there is a competitive angle to the game and that there is a competitive tournament. There are competitive tournaments, there are competitive players, there's an entire esports dedicated to it, so that just comes across as really bad. And grading characters based on their gaming legacy isn't really a good way to grade characters at all, because you're not really getting information on how these characters play in-game. You could rate some character, like, super duper high, but then maybe they've got a very complex playstyle that is difficult to get to grips with if you're a new player. So I don't understand why that would be how they're going to rate their characters. It's also a little bit concerning when they start at number 73 when there are 75 fighters so far if we're going by the website and adding Piranha Plant. So let's take a look at who they have put in last place. Number 73, Mr. Game & Watch. Okay, that's the, you know what, it's okay, you want to be hated, I understand. Mr. Game & Watch is a fun fighter with plenty of old school personality, but he has also never appeared in a game outside of Smash Bros. He's not a real classic character, merely an amalgam of our collective memory of the Game & Watch handhelds. What a sham. So, you say he is a fun fighter, which I've read through this article, they don't like certain other fighters in this, so why is he at the bottom if he's a fun fighter with plenty of old school personality? Doesn't make sense. Does not make sense. And 72, Rob. Like Mr. Game & Watch, Rob has never appeared in an actual video game unless you count stuff like cameos in WarioWare and Tomodachi Life. Rather, he was a costly, fragile peripheral that allowed you to play a whole 2 games. One of those games was Stack Up, which barely even qualifies as a game. Rob's legacy is a legacy of wasted money. First things first, he appeared in Mario Kart DS as a playable character, not just a cameo. And secondly, once again, what does his gaming legacy have to do with his gameplay style in Smash Bros? He has made a name for himself since Brawl in the Subspace Emissary, where he had a massive part in the story. And I feel like you're just kind of ignoring that, and you're kind of just taking the piss out of these bottom two just because they're older characters. I don't understand. I mean, if we're going by legacy, they should actually be higher up because they're older. So far this list is going great. 71, Ice Climbers. The original Ice Climber was a game about jumping, in which the act of jumping itself wasn't any fun. Meanwhile, the linked tag team fighting style Popo and Nana use in Smash Bros is so complicated, they had to sit out the last game because the 3DS couldn't handle them. Semi-correct in that the 3DS couldn't handle them because there were going to be 8 of them on screen at once for 4-player Smash, and 16 of them on screen at once for 8-player Smash. It was a technical issue, it had nothing to do with their fighting style, it was just the fact there were 2 of them on screen. And what does that have to do with them being an ultimate? Them being, fan favorites? Them being a character that everyone was excited to see back? And then you're putting them at 71? Really? Okay, that's cool, that's cool. 70, Mii Fighter, various Wii and 3DS games. The Mii characters, Brawler, Gunner, and Sword Fighter, might be kind of neat if they actually let you use your personal Mii. Except that real system-level Miis don't exist on Switch. That is to say, these are fighters whose central concept, playing as yourself in Smash Bros, no longer works, which means they have no reason to be here at all. Firstly, everyone is here, they had to come back. Secondly, the Switch does have a Mii customization system. Have you not played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, where everyone has a custom Mii when they go into the online lobbies? No, you haven't, because you probably haven't played a Nintendo game in your life. Jesus Christ, okay. Number 69, Chrom, from the Fire Emblem series. By Chrom! The Fire Emblem folks tend to all run together in Smash, but in this case, Chrom is literally just a combination of Roy and Ike. And who doesn't love a character that only exists to pad out a roster? Besides, everyone, that is. I mean, people wanted Chrom. He was very highly demanded in Smash 4, and people are happy that he's here. People are happy to have Echo Fighters. I don't see why you're that upset. The whole point of Echo Fighters is to get characters that normally wouldn't be into the game and give you a bit more choice. And being a combination of Roy and Ike, that's not a bad thing. I mean, he's an Echo Fighter. Do you not understand what that means? Number 68. Captain Falcon. Holy shit. Okay, there hasn't been a new F-Zero entry in 15 years, and Captain Falcon was pretty much just a guy who only appeared in the game's manual anyway, which means he's literally a Smash fighter whose only real claim to fame is being a Smash fighter. Sure, Falcon Punch memes were funny for a while, but that's not precisely compelling character development, you know? Character development. In my Smash game. There's no big story, there's no character. Why would you want character development in a fighting game that isn't about the story? I don't understand. What do you want? It's also worth noting that no, Captain Falcon has not only appeared in the game's manual. Captain Falcon appeared in actual F-Zero games, I believe the one on the GameCube. I'm pretty sure he appeared in person in that one. So, don't even go there, you've got your facts wrong. On top of that, Falcon Punch memes were funny for a while. I mean, Captain Falcon is one of the most iconic characters from Smash Bros. Because yes, Smash is keeping him alive, I'm not going to deny that. But his whole character and his whole personality, people know who he is because of this series, and people respect and enjoy his character. He's one of the original 12. Get over yourself, jeez. Bowser Jr., Mario series. Cool trivia fact. No one outside of Nintendo actually likes Bowser Jr. If anyone tells you otherwise, they're lying. Okay, I may not like Bowser Jr. myself, don't get me wrong, I don't like him that much, but I know he has his fans. And this doesn't say anything about his character, or his fighting ability, or his gaming legacy. It's just you saying, fuck Bowser Jr. It's like you're trying to be funny, but it's not funny. Ike, Fire Emblem series, this is my favourite. A cloned version of fan favourite Marth. Ike has no reason to exist in Smash. This is the kind of character who only shows up in a match when someone gets unlucky with a random fighter selection option. Ike is not a clone of Marth. The only move they share is a down B counter, which literally every sword wielder has. Ike is a unique fighter, a heavyweight, completely different to Marth. And yet you're saying that he is a clone of... Okay, you've never played this game before, have you? You have never picked up a controller. You never played Brawl. You probably stopped at Melee. I'm shocked. Genuinely shocked. It's also worth noting, by the way, I forgot to mention this during Crom's segment. They mentioned Roy there. He doesn't show up for the rest of the list. They don't even rank Roy. They don't even put Roy down. Okay. Dark Samus, Metroid Prime series. Dark Samus isn't so much a character as a plot device, a bunch of mutant Metroid ooze that borrowed Samus Aran's form. She's less like less of a copy of an interesting version of Metroid Fusion's SAX. A copy of a copy does not exactly make for a compelling character concept. Now, I'm not gonna lie, Dark Samus, Echo Fighter, villain from Metroid. She's not really meant to have a character, or be a compelling character concept, but people wanted her, and she's got a really cool design. The veins on her are really cool. I don't really see how she is higher than some of these other characters, though, because Bowser Jr. and the Ice Climbers and the Mii Fighters and the Rob and the Game & Watch, they all have more gaming legacy according to this list. So already, and then you rate Chrom based on his abilities, and same with Ike on his abilities, and you completely ignore the whole legacy thing. It's like you don't really know what your methodology for rating these characters is, and it's a mistake. Dark Pit at 64, Kid Icarus series. Dark Pit has one edge over Dark Samus. At least this evil alternate version of a beloved protagonist has a snarky personality. He's not evil, he's an anti-hero. Still, he's ultimately little more than a palette swap of a main character in a game where everyone already has multiple palette swaps as a standard feature. I mean, I'm not gonna deny that. Dark Pit is probably one of the few characters that I think gets justified hate based on when he came in Smash 4, but at the same time, he's been crapped on enough, I'm not even gonna bother. 63, Incineroar. Incineroar's initial form, Litten, is cute as a button. Alas, an evolved Incineroar simply serves to remind how pretty much every fire-type evolution since Blaziken has been tragically boring. Did you watch the gameplay for Incineroar in Smash? Did you see the completely unique moveset, the wrestling moveset, all the references to WWE wrestling and stuff like that? Something that we haven't had from any fighter in this series prior. Did you not see how whenever he lands a hit, he does a cool wrestling pose, or his final smash, or his amazing moveset? No, you didn't. Because you didn't watch it, because you haven't played this bloody game. You just got a list of characters. You probably haven't even seen any gameplay for most of them, and if you have, then you're just a jaded human being. Jesus Christ. My advice, rather than focus on the negatives, focus on the positives. Talk about the good things about characters, don't talk about the bad things. I mean, crikey. 62, Dr. Mario. When did Dr. Mario have time to go to college for a doctorate? What with all the adventuring and plumbing he does? Oh look, it's a joke everyone's already made before. He didn't. Do you really want to trust your health to someone with a mail-in diploma on his wall? What has that got to do with his character? What has that got to do with his fighting ability? What does that have to do with Smash? Nothing. Stop. Immediately. Shulk, Xenoblade Chronicles. Sorry Shulk, it's nice that Nintendo is letting you rep Xenoblade, but I'm afraid I'm not really feeling it. So, personal bias. Xenoblade is one of Nintendo's bigger franchises at this moment in time, and yet in terms of legacy, you're having a go at him for what, because you don't like him? What is this list based on? I am Confucian. What is this list based on? Is it based on legacy? Is it based on your personal preference? Is it based on your misguided views of different characters in these games? I mean, crikey. 60, Zero Suit Samus, hello. While this is actually Samus Aran, not an evil fake version of her like Dark Samus, she was only originally playable in this specific outfit during a brief stealth sequence that most people hate. Meanwhile, Samus's skin-tight Zero Suit in Smash Bros. Specifically works as a demonstration of the questionable design decisions the series tends to subject its female characters to. Okay, we're bringing feminism into this? Great, that's fun. We all want to bring feminism into our Nintendo. I mean, I will not lie, I didn't really get embroiled why Samus was so sexualized in her blue skin-tight gear. I understand why it was designed the way it was for stealth specifically. I'm not the biggest fan of Zero Suit Samus myself, but goddamn, you're taking it to a place that no one wants to take it to, my friend. My goodness, okay. 59. Piranha Plant from the Mario series. Less a character than a hungry piece of scenery, Piranha Plant has no real personality or agency to speak of in the Mario games, but there's a certain audacity to the decision to turn a potted plant into a combatant capable of going toe-to-toe with literal gods. You've got to respect that. And then you put him above Shulk. And Ike. That was sarcastic clapping, if you couldn't understand the joke, because I know not a lot of your jokes land, so I imagine you haven't seen many jokes either. King K. Rool, Donkey Kong Country series at 58, oh god. While he's not an interesting or particularly well-designed villain, King K. Rool did play a key role in the Great Ape War, so when he fires a super laser at the Kong's Island as part of his final smash, you know this guy actually means business. He's not a well-designed villain? Really? We're going there? He was made in the 90s, his name is a pun, he's had 3 different incarnations across the Donkey Kong Country games, and you're saying he's not a well-designed villain? I know this is bait, I know this article is just bait to piss people off, but oh, it does it so well! 58, wow. And then Ridley at 57, what the fuck? Just because he's become a meme doesn't mean he's actually worth playing as. Ridley shows up in game after game only to die, be reborn, or patched up as a cyborg, then die all over again. He's persistent, sure, but mostly he's just a big target for Samus to shoot at. Bowser, Ganondorf, literally the exact same thing. Yeah, we haven't seen them on the list yet. What makes Ridley different? Personally, I think Ridley is probably one of the better newcomers we've got. Have you seen his design? Have you seen his playstyle? Have you seen his final smash? Have you seen his references to the Xenomorph from Alien? I mean, it feels like this person just doesn't understand, or has probably never played a Metroid game. Or at least, it just shocks me. It really does shock me just how ill-informed this is. Young Link is at 56, The Legend of Zelda series. In the Nintendo 64 Zelda games, Link's younger self exists primarily to frustrate players who just want to play as Adult Link. He gets points for starring in cult favourite Majora's Mask, but then, would Adult Link have ever fallen for Skull Kid shenanigans in the first place? Absolutely not, go back to school, little Link. Except that you can't play as Adult Link when you go into Majora's Mask because of the story, because after you win in Ocarina of Time, you are sent back to being a child again, and then you go off on an adventure, and that's when Skull Kid steals your horse. It's not even falling for Skull Kid shenanigans. He literally scares you off your horse, knocks you out, and then steals your horse. That's not falling for a shenanigan. That's literally getting robbed. There's a very big difference. Adult Link could be chucked off his horse and smack his head and get knocked out as well, just as easily. Okay, we're only at 56, we've still got over 50 more of these to read, and I know I'm going to get pissed off the further I go. Pichu at 55, Pokemon series. A cynical attempt to create a Pokemon more popular than Pikachu, the most adorable and beloved of all pocket monsters. You took it too far, Pichu. You're too cute. But why is he this low? What about his gameplay? What about his character? I'm gonna have to stop asking that. Like, at this point, just assume that every time I finish reading, I'm like, well, what about how they fight in the game? What about whether they're heavyweights, lightweights? What about their attacks? What about their personalities? Because this person does not know anything. Wolf O'Donnell is at 54 from Star Fox. Wolf is the Shadow the Hedgehog of the Star Fox universe, an edgier, angrier counterpart to the main character, whose greatest legacy is that he's largely been co-opted by the internet fan community to feature in saucy artwork. So someone hasn't played Star Fox Zero, someone hasn't played Starlink Battle for Atlas. Wolf O'Donnell is nowhere near as edgy as Shadow the Hedgehog. And he's not even meant to take that role. He's just a mercenary who happens to, you know, go up against Fox a whole bunch of times. I mean, this hurts. This really hurts. It's like, none of these jokes have landed. Like, none of them. Not a single one. 53, Richter Belmont, Castlevania series. Richter might be the most stylish member of the vampire-hunting Belmont clan, but he's also the biggest bozo of the bunch. Not only did he turn out to be far less capable of fighting evil than Maria, a 9-year-old in a pretty dress, he's so weak-willed that a dead magician was able to control his mind. The profundity of this chump's failings was so immense that the Belmont clan ducked out of the battle against Dracula for 2 centuries afterwards. Okay, I don't know my Castlevania lore that well, so I assume that what they are saying there is, like, true, but in the sense that he's making it out to be, like, a lot more over-exaggerated than it actually was. I've always thought the Richter was a bit kind of idiotic in a sense, and I do kind of agree with certain things, like obviously he's very stylish, and he does seem to be a little less kind of skilled in the mind compared to like Simon or Trevor. But at the same time, goddamn, what does that have to do with him in Smash? It doesn't mean anything. Lucina's at 52, above Ike, another Marth clone. Okay, Echo Fighter. Okay, you got that one right, although unlike with Ike is not a fucking clone. Lucina's outward resemblance to the Fire Emblem series' most legendary hero is entirely deliberate and a key part of her shtick. That's cool, but at the same time, Lucina hails from the game at which Fire Emblem decided to become less about cunning combat tactics, and more about courting the perfect digital waifu, which is a hefty cross for her to bear. Incorrect. That more happened with Fates than with Awakening. Awakening was a nice middle ground, where you got all the strategy, all the tactics, all the fighting, and then the whole waifu thing was kind of on the side and just not as important at that point. Because Awakening is literally the game that saved the Fire Emblem series. If it had kept with the cunning combat tactics and just continued going in the direction that like Shadow Dragon went, then the series wouldn't have continued and we wouldn't have any of these characters. So you're taking the piss out of a series for saving itself. Good job. Rosalina and Luma are at 51. To quote Captain Kirk, sort of, what does a goddess need with a fighting tournament? Rosalina is basically the most powerful singular force in the cosmos, if Super Mario Galaxy is to be believed. A divine arbiter of existence who can reset all reality at will. You'd think she'd have better things to do than wallop on Bowser Jr., for example, erasing him from existence entirely. Yeah, but this is also ignoring the fact that every single Mario character gets brought into the spin-offs eventually, and Rosalina and Luma's actually got a very fun sort of battle system. I mean, this has nothing to do with her fighting style. Once again, I just keep saying that, and I just keep hoping that he'll bring up someone's fighting style, but he doesn't. Except when it's with the Fire Emblem characters. I hate this list. I hate it. 50, King DDD. DDD's not really such a bad fellow, honestly. He's just a poor, dumb dope who made the tragic mistake of coming between the galaxy scale of destruction that is Kirby and his snacks. King DDD's not that dumb. If you look at Subspace Emissary, Super Smash Bros. Brawl, he's the only character who realized what was going on and made countermeasures to save everyone from Taboo, and he's come across and helped Kirby in many different games. Of course, he has his infamous anime appearance where he kind of is a little bit dumb, but at the same time, he's not a poor dumb dope. He's a king. He's a king for a reason. 49, Lucas. Lucas deserves credit for representing Mother 3, a game Nintendo has never bothered to release in English. That takes chutzpah. On the other hand, Nintendo has never bothered to release Mother 3 in English, so for most people playing Smash in Europe and America, he's just some weird off-brand version of Ness. Now, while I can't disagree with the logic here, I do disagree with the fact that a lot of people knew who Lucas was. People knew him from Brawl, where he had that lovely arc with the Pokemon trainer about kind of overcoming his fears. He also has kind of just integrated himself into the hearts of just everyone. I mean, Mother 3 was never released in English, but a lot of people are aware of the game anyway, just because of the infamy behind it. And it's been translated, like, by a fan translation before, so, you know. 48. Waluigi. Just kidding, Waluigi will never be in Smash. This is why Roy wasn't included in the list, because they had to get a Waluigi joke in there. I hate this. I hate this so much. I'm just going to take a sip of my drink. I'm not even going to cut this out because you guys need to hear just how painful I'm feeling right now. And just seeing who's next, I'm shocked. Number 47, Diddy Kong. Diddy Kong is really just the poor man's Donkey Kong Jr. Sadly, Jr. himself is said to have died in the Great Ape War, which means we're stuck with this second banana, but we don't have to like it. That's incorrect! Donkey Kong Jr. is Donkey Kong! Because Cranky Kong is the original Donkey Kong! I don't understand. Diddy Kong comes from the Donkey Kong Front Country series. Donkey Kong Jr. didn't fucking play in Donkey Kong Country. Unless you want Baby Kong, whatever his name was. I don't think anyone wants that, but Diddy at 47 shocks me because I feel like this is one of the characters with the most personality and the most expressions, and it's just a really fun character. And this is just so wrong. Number 46, The Villager. What are Animal Crossing villagers doing here? They should be picking fruit or trading t-shirt designs with scatterbrained animals. They're way out of their depth here, which leads us to believe that they were probably forced into Smash's deadly combat arena by that conniving late capitalist creep Tom Nook. Go home, villagers, you're too pure for this place. So all of that was just for a Tom Nook joke, which has been done to death so many times that I don't give a damn anymore. Villager has earned its spot in Smash, Animal Crossing has earned its spot, the fact that they got another rep in Isabelle this time around kind of proves that, so... just stop. Just stop. 45, Palutena, Kid Icarus. Palutena is actually Greek mythic figure Pallas Athena, who you'd think would have better things to do with her time than beat on a poor, weak, mortal goofball like Villager. The Greeks were right, the gods really are jerks. Okay, first things first, no, Palutena is not actually Greek mythic figure Pallas Athena. That was never confirmed. Secondly, you say this, but you're also, obviously Rosalina is also beating people up and she's kind of like a god. Why don't you just talk about the character's gameplay? Because this is not helping you to pick which character you should play as in Smash Brothers. It's not helping at all. It doesn't give any information. Number 44, Robin from the Fire Emblem series. Robin offers a cool nod to inclusivity even, appearing in both male and female versions to better express the player's self-identity. On the other hand, Robin is a big nerd who attacks with books. Really? You can't win a no-holds-barred fighting tournament with math. This ain't Final Fantasy Tactics, kid. A big nerd who attacks with books. We're at this point in our lives. We're at this point where nerds are an insult again. Where reading books and casting magic is an insult. I always wondered why our species continues to regress, and it's these articles that prove it. Pit, let's just go. If you've ever played Kid Icarus, you know that the most persistent cause of death in that game is protagonist Pit falling off the screen after missing or falling through a tiny platform. That is to say, this kid is named after his #1 leading cause of death. There's something weird and grim about that, and we're not entirely on board with it. Okay. But what does this have to do with his franchise, his legacy? Because, you know, he's had 2 other games, one of which is on the 3DS and is bloody brilliant. He got redesigned in Brawl. He has a really interesting fighting style. Anything? Anything? No? Okay. 42, Jigglypuff. Jigglypuff, a rotund, wide-eyed monster who likes to sing, seems like the most unlikely Pokemon for inclusion in a manic fighting game this side of Trubbish. Then again, did you see that realistic Jigglypuff in the Detective Pikachu trailer? Presumably this combatant aims to win the battle by virtue of being straight-up nightmare fuel. I don't think you've seen what competitive players have done with Jigglypuff in Melee. That shit is terrifying. And it just... I don't want to read any more of this article. It's that bad. But you know what? We're already almost halfway through, so I've got to finish it. 41. Fox McCloud. Yeah, Fox isn't even in the top 40. What the fuck? Fox No Item's final destination has become an enduring symbol of how far Smash enthusiasts have to bend over backward to bring the series to something resembling acceptable balance by the standards of the fighting game community. That's not really the character's fault, but it doesn't change the fact that if you pick Fox as your main, you're a cop. So you're insulting people who pick Fox. You are... I don't know if you're insulting the competitive community or if you're insulting Sakurai, despite the fact that now every stage has a final destination and battlefield form, meaning that it's a lot easier to have something resembling acceptable balance for the fighting game community. Were you dropped on your head as a child? Mewtwo, 40. Mewtwo has been coasting on his legacy for entirely too long. Sure, he was an exquisitely rare capture in Pokemon Generation 1, and yeah, he was super scary in that movie where he wanted to annihilate humanity, but what have you done for us lately, Mewtwo? Well, you could say the exact same thing about Generation 1 itself. Generation 1 has been coasting on its legacy for entirely too long, but you don't shit on Pikachu. You didn't shit on Jigglypuff for that reason. Probably not going to shit on Pokemon Trainer for that reason. Mewtwo is still probably one of the most iconic legendaries out there, just to a general audience. And everyone is here, remember? Everyone is here. Okay, just need to take a deep breath. Wii Fit Trainer at 39, at least she's near the top half of the list, because Wii Fit Trainer's fun. Frankly, nothing this lady can do in Smash Bros. Could be nearly as devastating as when she critiques your ability to maintain an even posture on a Wii balance board. She's far more of a threat in her original game. I disagree, she's terrifying in Smash Bros., and she is brilliant, and this has nothing to do with why she's at 39. Why is she above all these other characters? Why is she below other characters? What are the reasons? I want to know! I want to understand your mind, but I don't. Because quite frankly, the only thing nearly as devastating as her critiquing the ability of a Wii balance board is probably when she starts critiquing this article because it's shit. I mean, 38, Corrin. I'm surprised Corrin is this high. You know what, I'm okay with that. Another Fire Emblem fighter. Corrin is all decked out for serious combat, except they forgot their shoes. Quentin Tarantino would probably approve, but it's hard to take a fighter seriously when you can take them entirely out of commission by accidentally spilling a box of Lego. Easy joke, no explanation as to why Corrin is so high up when the entire point of that paragraph was just to take the piss out of Corrin. Like, give us some positives. Not every single sentence, not every single character needs to have some one-liner that makes people chuckle, because it's not making people chuckle. The only one that's even remotely funny is the Wii Fit Trainer one, and even then... Oh god, I hate this. I hate this. Why did I say I was going to do this? 37, Little Mac, Punch-Out series. Little Mac is the rare distinction of having beaten Mike Tyson in a straight fight, which you have to respect. On the other hand, Marquis of Queensberry rules only go so far in the Anything Goes world of Smash. So, what does this have to do with the character? I'm asking this for every single thing. I don't understand. 36, Ken Masters. Ken's claim to fame is that he's the blonder, more handsome version of Ryu. In an 80s flick, that would make him the villain. In a 2018 video game, he's more pitiable than anything else. Have you seen his makeover for Street Fighter V? That being said, Ken is also the more interesting of the two characters. He's actually got a personality. That's something that, you know, even with Legacy, I think kind of important, because he's got more kind of outward just dialogue than Ryu, at least. 35, Greninja. A frog ninja. That's a pretty heady character concept. Too bad Greninja is just one of approximately 90 dozen Pokemon to appear in Smash, and therefore is likely to be overlooked in favor of fandom darlings like, you know, Pikachu or Lovedisk or whatever. Lovedisk has never been in Smash. And in fact, Greninja is probably one of the most popular Pokemon from recent memory. So this makes no sense, because he's not overlooked, because he literally is one of the most popular Pokemon in recent fucking memory. Okay, Lucario, 34. With his fist-swinging energy ball tossing style, Lucario is basically a furry combination of Little Mac and Ken Masters. He lands higher than they do in the Smash rankings, however, because unlike those guys, Lucario's strength is based entirely on the power of friendship. He warms hearts as he kicks butts. I don't really get the reference. Is it a Pokemon movie reference? at least he talks about the style of fighting. Like, at least he says fist-swinging, energy ball-tossing style. At least he said something about the fighting style. Number 33, Duck Hunt. Okay. The problem here is that Duck Hunt is not the name of a character, it's the name of a game where these evidently nameless characters come from. That's why in the European version it's called Duck Hunt Duo, which makes more sense. Semantic dickering notwithstanding, though, the Duck Hunt gang's presence is welcome, but only when someone else plays as them. I have a lot of aggression to work out on that dog after all those years of him sneering at my lousy aim. But, it's not funny. It's not funny. It's not funny. You're not funny. 33. Ganondorf, the Legend of Zelda series. Yes! Ganon looked cool and scary in Ocarina of Time, but he's more or less become a suavier version of Mega Man's Dr. Wily. A villain so overplayed, he's become practically comical. He keeps showing up to fight Link in reprises of the same basic final battle, rather than leaving a little breathing space for a more interesting foe to arise and switch things up. What a pig. Even though the last major game before Breath of the Wild, which was Skyward Sword, had Girahim and Demise. And Twilight Princess had Zant before Ganondorf came out. Majora's Mask had Majora. Yes, Ganon has appeared in the most games in the franchise, but that being said, he's by no means the only one. I mean, let's just kind of go through it right now. Link to the Past, Aghanim, Link's Awakening, The Nightmare, Majora's Mask. You've got, well, Majora's Mask and Skull Kid you fight against. You've got Vati in two different games, the Four Swords games, and Minish Cap, I believe. We've got Girahim. We have got the Bellum from Phantom Hourglass. Spirit Tracks, we've got Maladus. I mean, yes, Ganondorf appears in a lot of the main games, but only the, like, what? He appears in the originals, but he wasn't Ganondorf at that point. It became Ganondorf in Ocarina of Time. And then he appears in Twilight Princess. And then he doesn't actually appear again until Breath of the Wild as Phantom Ganon. So, well, he appears in Wind Waker, I guess. So what, 3 times, and then he appears as a spirit sort of monstrous calamity entity in Breath of the Wild. That's 4 times. It's not that much. Compared to Dr. Wily's 11 times, of course. 32, Captain Olimar. The good captain seems like an able and plucky little fighter, facing indomitable odds despite his diminutive stature. But then you start to notice that he doesn't really fight, instead sending swarms of helpless childlike worker drones to gather loot and do his dirty work for him, while remaining safely out of harm's way. Olimar is a symbol of capitalism, sheer I want to know about the fighters. I don't want your fucking one-liners. Okay, we're at least 31, Princess Daisy, Mario series. Considering Daisy's entire characterization boils down to a princess who knows her own name, she holds her own respectably in a Smash Bros. Scrum. Behold the power of a limited vocabulary. You're not funny. You put down Zero Suit Samus for the way that she's dressed and quote-unquote sexualized, but then you start taking the piss out of Princess Daisy for having a limited vocabulary. I don't understand you. Also, it's worth pointing out that it goes from 31 to 29. 30 is not there. There's no 30. There is no 30! This is such a... No one even proofread this. I bet no one proofread this. They just posted it. 29, Bayonetta. The innocent punch-up whimsy of Super Smash Bros. Hit adolescence in a hurry once Bayonetta joined the roster. She's a lady who guns down divine beings and technically fights in the nude at all times, which puts her rather at odds with the likes of, say, Yoshi and Pichu. On the other hand, she has superpowered hair and her shoes double as guns, so despite the additional sex appeal she brings to Smash, she's still every bit as ridiculous as the rest of the combatants here. This is probably the only one that hasn't actually annoyed me, because it actually is a good representation of her character. She mentions her hair, she mentions her guns, she mentions her ability to fight. This is the only one I'm not mad at so far. I mean, it makes sense, you know? Good job. Like, it only took you to get to number 29 from 73 to make me feel like I'm not gonna kill myself after this video. Yoshi at 28, what the fuck? Nope, all the goodwill's gone. Yoshi used to be cool, but then they taught him to talk. Now Mario's rad rideable dinosaur buddy speaks in bad riseable dinosaur babble, and he's trapped forever in seemingly endless rehashes of Yoshi's Island. I need some sort of offbeat side game in the style of Yoshi's Safari or Yoshi's Cookie to rehabilitate his image before I can learn to love this baby talking buffoon again. Ah yes, because Yoshi's Woolly World and Yoshi's Crafted World are just like Yoshi's Island. 100%. Completely the exact same game. On top of this, Yoshi has always been able to talk. He has speech bubbles in the game with dialogue. Mario Galaxy 2, Yoshi's Island. I'm pretty sure he speaks in Odyssey as well, I'd like to... Well, no, he doesn't speak in Odyssey, but I think he has like a sign at his house that he wrote down. So he can speak. And Yoshi in Smash is one of the easier characters to, I think, learn for a new player. So, wow, okay. You do you. You do you, sir. 27, Falco Lombardi. Quite surprised that he made it to the top of the Star Fox characters. The most relatable of the Star Fox brood, Falco has zero patience for Slippy's incompetent shrieking, which has no relevance towards Smash, but whatever, and equally little respect for the way Fox invariably saves the little squawker from the predicaments of his own making. Once again, nothing to do with Smash. You get the impression Falco ended up in Smash against his own better judgment, and you can't help but respect such a well-developed sense of duty even as you sympathize with his frustrations. I think he likes being in Smash. It's a good place to beat people up, you know? He's all about the fighting. He's a rogue. He's like the Han Solo of the Star Fox crew. Okay. 26 more to go. 26 is Pokemon trainers, by the way. On one hand, Pokemon trainers are kids who have lost their souls to a seedy practice of enslaving wild animals and forcing them to engage in... Okay, it's another joke. Okay. On the other hand, the captors are just the best. Squirtle, Charizard, and Ivysaur all in one. So, you take the piss out of Mewtwo for surfing on his legacy, but now you're praising the Generation 1 starters for their legacy, despite the fact that they have very much overstayed their welcome and read their legacy to high heaven. There's so many contradictions. Oh my god. I hate this. We're in the top 25 now, and I'm actually horrified to say that Link is at 25th place. The Link has come a long way from the 8-bit days when he looked like he should be selling delicious fudge-covered elf cookies, but after all these years he's still more of a symbol than a character. I know he likes glowing golden triangles and legendary swords, but beyond that Link is a cipher. What sort of music does he like? What are his favourite movies? I can't even get a read on what kinds of food he prefers thanks to his tendency to devour everything indiscriminately in Breath of the Wild. He's probably a great guy if you get to know him, but it's hard to relate to a guy who never speaks for himself. We've known for many, many years that Link is meant to be a replacement for the character, and we do find stuff about him in Breath of the Wild. We find out that he doesn't like to speak because of the overwhelming pressure regarding the calamity. This was pre 100 Year Sleep. We discover that he likes to help people. He has different sort of dialogue options that he can reply with, some of which are a little bit sassy and fun. I don't understand. This has nothing to do with Smash Brothers. This has absolutely nothing to do with Smash Brothers. 24 Marth. The most legendary of Smash's Fire Emblem heroes. If you're going to play Smash as a muscular blue-cad knight with a big sword, it might as well be this one. 23 Mega Man series. We're not really clear on how chucking razor-sharp metal blades jives with Mega Man's Asmodean programming. Shouldn't the laws of robotics prevent him from launching fatal attacks at living people? Then again, most Smash Bros. Brawlers are weirdos who probably don't even register as human. Even if Mega Man's presence here goes against his basic programming, it's great to see him reunited with his old pals Simon and Pit, just like in the Captain N days. I'm just gonna move on. I'm moving on. Donkey Kong, 22. We love to play as Donkey Kong. This guy, though, he's just the latter-day imposter version from Donkey Kong Country, the original DK Stung. You know, Donkey Kong Jr., the one you guys wanted to fucking play as when you were talking about Diddy, you fucks. Or maybe Grandson, we've never been clear on that point. Getting stuck with this guy is kind of like going to a theatre to watch a screening of From Russia with Love and being shown an episode of James Bond Jr. instead. The problem is, most people won't know that this Donkey Kong isn't the one from the original arcade game, so why are you getting angry about it? I mean, they're basically the same character. Why are you getting angry? You're getting pedantic and it's annoying. Also, Donkey Kong from the Mario series, when he has his own Donkey Kong series, you know. 21 Mario. The default character, Mario's fine. He fights, he jumps, he swings a hammer, and can wear his Mario Maker costume. He's completely average in every respect. You do know you can move the cursor around the character select screen with the controller, right? Does he wield a hammer? No, I don't think he does. He has a cape. He has the flood. He has his up jump. No, he doesn't have a hammer. He doesn't use a hammer in Smash. 20. Ryu. Ryu is the kind of character that appeals to the sad souls whose idea of an exciting snack is saltine crackers and milk. Yes, he's the main guy from Street Fighter, but at this point, something like 20 different Street Fighters fight in a variant of Ryu's Shotokan karate style, and nearly all of them have more interesting moves and stories than Ryu. Would you care for a dish of plain vanilla ice cream with your Dragon Punch, sir? So why isn't Ken above Ryu? He's more interesting, I don't understand! Okay, 19 is Sonic, okay. We're long past the age in which Sonic appearing on a Nintendo system felt novel. These days we're simply reeling from everything that came after the miserable Shadow the Hedgehogs and Sonic 06s and Sonic Forces of the universe. Thankfully, the Sonic we see in Smash harkens back to the golden days, when his games were all fun and interesting, the days before he mashed lips with an actual human lady. It's almost enough to help you forget what's happened to the Sonic games in the years since. Almost. Despite the fact that Sonic Colors and Sonic Generations went really well with the general audience. Okay, that's fine. We're just going to ignore that those games exist. They don't exist, clearly. Only what you want to have exist. Solid Snake at 18. The legendary super soldier, Sonic Snake, Solid Snake, remains one of the gaming's greatest and most tragic figures. Among those tragedies is the fact that his outings on Nintendo platforms have all been trash fires. The sloppy NES port of Metal Gear, the weird as hell Snake's Revenge, and a god-awful Metal Gear Solid remake called The Twin Snakes. Indeed, the shame of it all is so profound that Snake crawled into a box and snuck his way 10 slots lower down the list than I had originally assigned him, all on his own. But why does that matter? You're not looking at their legacy on Nintendo platforms, you're looking at their legacy overall. And if it's the legacy on your Nintendo platforms that work, then Cloud, who is next, should be near the bottom of the list because he's not been on Nintendo platforms aside from some fucking Final Fantasy rhythm games. 17. Cloud Strife Final Fantasy. As far as unlikely post-Final Fantasy VII characterizations go, Cloud Strife beats up a bunch of Nintendo mascots still rings truer than the catatonic mope they wrote him as in Advent Children. In any case, Cloud remains the coolest dude from the PlayStation 1 era. Not that Smash Bros has anything to do with PlayStation, but in the timeless words of Cloud's pal Squall, whatever. Of course he's going to be a catatonic mope in Advent Children, because he's trying to get over the trauma of everything that happened in Final Fantasy VII, because quite frankly, it is fucking traumatizing what happened to him. Like, he did not have a good ride through Final Fantasy VII. He was never this upbeat, happy character after all. I just don't understand anymore. 16. Sheik. Sheik as Princess Zelda as a ninja. That's an extremely good idea for a character, and it doesn't hurt that Sheik is stylish as all get out too. We're fans. As all get out. You know, I think they spelled Sheik right at least. I just need to check. I have to make sure. Yeah, they spelled Sheik right. I'll give them that. Okay. Princess Zelda, though. That said, nothing says girl power like Zelda brawling as herself rather than pretending to be a teenage ninja boy. Sure, her ornate dress and elbow-length silk gloves seem poorly suited for a brutal dust-up, but that just makes her ability to hold her own even more impressive. Nothing but respect for the true ruler of Hyrule. At least they're being nice to Zelda. At least they're being nice to Zelda. Ness. A schoolboy armed with a baseball bat might seem profoundly out of his depth in the over-the-top fracas like Smash Bros, but Ness also brings phenomenal psychic powers to the fight. Like the cult favorite game he stars in, it's easy to underestimate this kid. You know how you felt when you realized you had passed up the chance to buy a new copy of Earthbound for $20 back in the day and now it's 50 times as much? That's exactly how you feel when someone gets the best of you in Ness. Okay, cut off that last bit. End it at, it's easy to underestimate this kid. You've got a good paragraph there. You explain his psychic powers. Why couldn't you do some of this with, like, the other characters on this list? Give some good points. Talk about their moves. Why did it take us this long to get to decent entries? I mean, I don't necessarily agree with how this list is structured and where everyone is, but I mean, at least you're being decent now. 13, Inkling. Is it a kid? A squid? Either, or neither way, the Inkling is the rising new star in Nintendo's pantheon. This is the character old people select when they want to prove they're hip and with it. It's fine, oh, you've ruined it. You ruined it. I'm not reading the rest of that. You ruined it. That was meant to be that was going to be a good thing, but you ruined it with another one-line joke that just no one wanted. 12. Simon Belmont from the Castlevania series. The last man standing from gaming's Conan the Barbarian knockoff trend of the 80s, Simon Belmont is a beefy chunk of vampire-killing holy warrior who battles the satanic undead with the power of an enchanted whip and with the power of mad gains. More importantly, Simon brings with him the absolute best musical additions to an already overstuffed soundtrack, and that makes him a hero by any standard. Okay. First bit shaky, bit cheesy, but you know, you mentioned the soundtrack, you gave praise, mentioned the whip. Not terrible. 11 is Isabelle. Playing as Isabelle is almost cheating. The most lovable, loyal, hard-working character in the Nintendo pantheon, Isabelle can't be defeated. After all, who in the world would try to hurt Isabelle, after everything she does to keep your town clear of weeds and the way she bends down town ordinances to work with your personal schedule? Only a horrible monster. That's who. So Galeem. Okay, it doesn't really talk about Isabelle's moveset, but nice to see that she's here. Wario. Wario's at 10. Can we just, like, knock him down to 73, please? Mario series. And he's from the WarioWare series in Smash, actually. Check the fucking website. Wario may have begun as the fat, evil version of Mario, but over time he's defined himself as something far more interesting. Sure, he's greedy, but it's not as if Mario didn't star in New Super Mario Bros. 2, a game about single-handedly accumulating the wealth of the entire Mushroom Kingdom. Wario's great because his maniacal lust for gold has led him to become Nintendo's greatest and most creative entrepreneur, and if his dietary habits and personal hygiene leave a little something to be desired, well, nobody's perfect. I'm still not gonna like him, though. Meta Knight, Kirby series. Meta Knight may or may not be an evil version of Kirby, but it seems pretty clear that he's the lone sane man, or lone sane pink blob thing hiding behind an iron mask, in Dreamland. He suffers Kirby's mindless appetites and King Dedede's imbecilic schemes with relative grace. Who can blame him if he's a little antisocial after all of that? I mean, I agree with everything they're saying there, but at the same time, you've not mentioned anything about his sword fighting abilities, or his ability to fly and create tornadoes. It's okay. 8. Bowser, Mario series. Bowser's a bad guy, but is he actually evil? Oh god, is this just gonna... This is just gonna be a whole thing about how Bowser's not really a bad guy, but it's not gonna go into his moveset, isn't it? Despite his offspring being such an obnoxious little twerp, Bowser does his best to be a great dad, which speaks to a surprising amount of tenderness beneath the gruff, megalomaniacal exterior. He also has pretty dapper personal style and a love for snazzy threads and slick vintage automobiles, and he's been more than willing to team up with his nemesis Mario when the circumstances warrant, which suggests he's pragmatic rather than hateful. Granted, Bowser's tendency to kidnap princesses certainly isn't the best look in the more enlightened age, but even that seems to be more of a symbolic compulsion than anything else. There's more to Bowser than meets the eye, and of all the fighters on the Smash roster, his appearance in these games seems almost like a therapeutic journey of self-discovery. That doesn't explain anything about Bowser in the game. It explains nothing. You wrote a massive paragraph of nothing. There's a lot of words, but they mean nothing. Number 7, Toon Link. How? Another version of Link? Yes, but this one is also the single most expressive fighter on the Smash roster. You really feel the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat when this little refugee from a Rankin Bass cartoon hams it up in battle. Plus, Toon Link's continued popularity is a pointed take-that to everyone who's ever flipped out when a Zelda game has emphasized dynamic visuals over mature stoicism, and that's swell. Once again, nothing on the gameplay, just about his expressions. Number 6, Samus Aran. I actually forgot about Samus because he chat on Samus so much earlier on in the list. Samus was Nintendo's original heroine, well, unless you count the Mark Rider or Bubbles from Cluku Land, or, well... Anyway, she's a very tough and strong lady who regularly saves the galaxy from a plague of deadly space parasites, despite being trapped in some abysmally written scripts, although her unfortunately passive turn in Metroid Fusion and Other M has dinged her rep a bit, to say nothing of that weird cameo in Federation Force. She's still by far the toughest lady in Nintendo's stable of characters. And yet, I'm not gonna lie, anyone who's ranking Smash's characters based on their actual Smash incarnations Samus wouldn't be this high. She's not the most wieldy of characters, and most people prefer her when she's not in her suit because just more mobility overall. Number 5, Pikachu. Yeah, Pikachu is overplayed and overhyped, and there are hundreds of more interesting Pokemon Nintendo could draw on for Smash, but I'm putting this little rat all the way up here on the rankings on a provisional basis, working from the assumption that a real fur detective Pikachu with Ryan Reynolds' voice will become available as DLC following launch to sustain our nightmares for years to come. So you shit on Generation 1 for the most part. You put Pikachu at number 5 anyway. I hate this so much. Number 4, Princess Peach. Underestimate Princess Peach at your own peril. After decades of being kidnapped by despotic turtles, she's become quite the cunning warrior in her own right. Although the responsibilities of Regency often leave her vulnerable to Bowser's schemes, after all, she's got a kingdom to look out for, and that takes up quite a lot of a girl's free time. She swings a mead tone when push comes to shove. Princess Peach has far more important things she should be doing besides waiting among the commoners in Smash, but she never makes the others feel like they're beneath her. Truly, the very picture of graciousness. But what about her moveset? What about her moveset? What does it do? Nothing. Okay, Kirby at number 3. There's no denying the fact that Smash Bros. Plays favourites with Kirby. After all, Smash director Masahiro Sakurai enjoyed his first big break in gaming with the Kirby series. You can understand if Kirby gets treated maybe a little better than, say, Ike. Except Ike has been treated really fucking well in Smash. But you know what's really great about Kirby? His games always look and play great. He's probably the single most consistent character in the Nintendo mascot lineup, unlike Link and Mario. There's not a single wand of Gamelon or Mario's time machine lurking in his closet, and his copy power makes him unpredictably fun to play as in Smash. It's such a great idea that Mario swiped it for Cappy in Super Mario Odyssey. Firstly, Kirby doesn't actually have as much bias, at least if we're going by him surviving World of Light. Sakurai has already explained that Kirby's the only one who could do that because of the Warp Star, not because it was Kirby. And in fact, you only technically have to play as Kirby for, what, 3 fights? Before you unlock Mario and you can continue on as him? I'm so exhausted. 2, Pac-Man. The true OG of Smash Bros. Pac-Man participates in these whippersnappers' comical fisticuff matches with the patience and good grace of an elder who understands his era is past but feels no scorn for those who have taken his place. He's the ultimate good sport, there to lend the whole affair a little extra gravitas and unconcerned with the outcome. I don't understand, there's nothing about the gameplay! And number 1 is Luigi, because of course it is, because, you know, it's a meme. Because everyone's like, support Luigi! Simply put, Luigi is the most important figure in this entire fighting franchise. Mario may be the face of Smash, but without Luigi, Super Smash Bros. Is just Super Smash. Luigi is the Avis of the Nintendo universe. He's number 2, so he tries harder. Mario always gets the glory, Luigi always gets the garbage. He's doomed to play second fiddle to Mario, cursed with wonky jump physics, burdened with thankless game premises, like rescuing his brother from haunted mansions, and forever scorned even by the Toads and Bowsers of his universe. But all that just goes to demonstrate that the perpetual uphill struggle that is Luigi's life, which makes his importance in Smash Bros. All the more impressive in my Smash-loving heart. It's always the year of Luigi.